As you can see, today we are strictly business here at Big Deke News. All I gotta do now is just take off these glasses so I can see a motherfucking fake fan in the eye. Yes, your new favorite Steeler, Naji Harris, perhaps had the quote of the year yesterday when referencing why he won't be wearing a visor in 2022.
Yeah.
I like that. That's dope. With the black visor?
Nah, I'm going no visor this year.
Are you going no
It's
visor?
strictly business. Yeah, I want to see motherfuckers' eyes.
It's the same reason why I'm not wearing my glasses. I need to look the fake fans in the eye as I annihilate them with my amazing football takes. But honestly, fake fans probably ain't even watching this video anymore because they can't handle the truth staring right at them. But back to Naji. He's pretty sick. He just wants to watch grown-ass men cry as he stiff-arms them to the ground. Like this.
Harris, how about
And also like this.
Harris, speaking of...
But this quote, if anything outside of being legendary, should be assigned to people that know football to take the over on Naji Harris rush yards in 2022. That number's 1,120, and you know we got Big Deke News, but we also got Big Deke Investments, and you know I had to make a play at it. And not only do we have this soundbite, but also another green light as a prompt to take this investment is Naji Harris saying he's good with 500 carries.
Someone was saying, like, if I have 25 carries, then, you know, we're undefeated. You know what I mean? So, okay, this is our identity right here. So let's keep this going on. Let's keep this going. So, man, listen, if I get 500 carries, as long as we winning, it doesn't really matter.
Is that an Alabama thing? Is that what it is? Is that what that is?
I think that's a Naji thing.
Like he said, he's built for it. And these are the type of comments that come from leaders and champions. But for the record, there hasn't been anyone in NFL history to get 500 touches in a single season. And I'm not really pushing for it because I don't know how smart that is. But at the same time, I do think the thought of, hey, just because this player got a heavy workload, he's going to break down, is a bit overblown because there are players that have gotten close to 500 touches in the past. So I did some Big Deke News research, and the top 5 guys with the most output in a single season in NFL history are, you got James Wilder at 492 touches, Larry Johnson at 457, Eddie George 453, LT at 451, and Edgerrin James at 5 at 450. So to my point, 2 of those 5 players in LaDainian Tomlinson and Edgerrin James ended up making the Hall of Fame and also had better seasons later on in their career. So obviously they weren't overworked or they weren't breaking down. And then you have Eddie George, who kind of stayed the same after having that season. But then you had the last 2 in Wilder and Johnson, who did start to break down a little bit and fall off about 2 or 3 seasons after that workload. So essentially, I wouldn't read too much into it or overreact because I feel like the Steelers are going to be smart about it. But also with Naji Harris, there's definitely been a shift in defense over these last several years in becoming faster, leaner, better in coverage. So I don't know how many dudes are out here looking forward to tackling Naji Harris or are going to have that much success with it. And speaking of running backs, the Steelers made a couple transactions recently. Yesterday they released Trey Edmunds, and today they signed Jeremy McNichols. First, on Trey Edmunds, I didn't know when this cut was ever going to happen. It seemed like it was inevitable, but Trey Edmunds has been on the Steelers roster over these last 4 years, even though we drafted Naji Harris, even though it didn't seem like he was better than Benny Snell, didn't really bring much more to the table or something different to the table, at least, than someone like Anthony McFarland or Kalen Ballage, but he was still on the roster. So it got to the point for me, I was just like, let's see how long this can happen. Could he be a Udonis Haslam for the Steelers, be on the roster for a good 10, 15 years, but never really play? And unfortunately, that fun came to an end. I kind of wanted to see how long it would last, but yesterday the Steelers cut Trey Edmunds, so it kind of sucks. The highlight or highlights for Trey Edmunds' career with the Steelers, it's got to be the Colts game. He had 12 rushes for 73 yards. That was back in 2019 with the Mason Duck season, and we needed all those yards, and he definitely helped us win that game. And then the other one was also back in 2019 when he picked off the Rams punter whenever they tried the fake punt. So yeah, Trey Edmunds, there are definitely some fond memories. But with this McNichols signing, it could be interesting. I don't think it's anything to go crazy over because he spent 5 seasons in the NFL and really doesn't have much production to show for it and has been on 4 different teams. He was on the 49ers, the Colts, the Jaguars, and spent the last 2 seasons with the Titans. 2 years ago, had 204 yards on the ground, 12 receptions and 55 yards. Last season had 156 yards on the ground, but had 28 receptions with 240 yards receiving. His role seems to be more of a scat back / receiving back, and actually got some time on a consistent basis last year, was averaging about 20% to 30% snaps per game. It's intriguing because we are definitely void of an extra back behind Najee. I think we got our number 2 locked up with Benny Snell. He's the safe backup. But in terms of a change of pace guy, maybe that could be McNichols' role for the Steelers. I mean, we were hoping it to be McFarland last year, but those hopes and dreams died with some injuries and also just the fact that he never saw the field, really. We also brought in Mateo Durant and also Jalen Warren as undrafted rookie free agents. So McNichols probably got as good of a chance as any of these guys. I think the signing is fine. Obviously, this is the reason why we cut Trey Edmunds yesterday. And it makes sense because I actually think McNichols can compete for a role, whereas I felt like with Trey Edmunds, best case scenario was just practice squad. If someone went down or someone had some injury, we'd pull him up to the active roster and he'd probably be a special teamer for us. But let me know what you guys think, because this is it for Big Deke News, whether we're talking Naji Harris's comments on his visor, the 500 carries, or the Steelers cutting Trey Edmunds and signing Jeremy McNichols. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay chillin'. Peace.